Today I'm going to show you through this book. It is titled Practical Herbalism by Philip Fritchie. Now this book is about how to treat yourself naturally with natural remedies and all that. Now this book, as of today, is selling on Amazon for about $77. I know that is really expensive for just a book, but I think it's worth it. My children and I have not gone to the doctor for sickness since December of 2010. This is currently April 2017. Because sometime in 2010, early 11, we started treating ourselves naturally. But it was not until 2012 that I actually bought this book. I wanted it for a couple years, or close to it, but it was just so expensive on Amazon. And finally one day I saw it for around $40, so I went ahead and bought it. And being very familiar with it now after using it for 5 years, I would pay $100 or more for this book. This book has saved us so much money instead of going to the doctor and paying the copay, and then of course the 10% of the bill and for insurance, and then the medicine. This book has saved us thousands of dollars throughout the years, so it is worth it. Okay, I will also say that if you are interested in treating yourself naturally and you are really interested in it and you do not have this book or a very good book like it, this may be a long video and I'm sorry, but you should watch this whole video because I'm going to show you through this book. It's just amazing. Okay, so this book was copyrighted in the year 2004. This page is about the author. Has the table of contents. I'll just scan through it here so you can see it, but I'm not going to read it. Has 46 plants that it goes over individually. Chapter 1 is about the evolution of herbal medicine. It's the history of natural remedies and medicine in the U.S. It's very fascinating to read. This part here is the ancient roots to modern medicine, so how the modern medicine came from natural remedies. And it even has a timeline. It starts around the year 1500 BC. It talks about Hippocrates and his oath. And it has many sections. I'm not going to read them all. Galen. The Middle Ages, like medicine in the Middle Ages, the fall of Alexandria, the Black Plague. Nicholas Culpeper, Benjamin Rush, but you can see each one it's a timeline. Each one has a date with some information about that person, like here's Louis Pasteur, or about a movement or an act or something. Here's even the flush toilet. Okay, so it talks about the American Medical Association. Looks like it was formed in the year 1847. Has a page on Benedict Lust. And then I kind of like this title, Orchestrating the Demise of Botanical Medicine in America. So it kind of says, I don't know, just some information you might want to read. So in 1906, the Pure Food and Drug Act was created. Flexner Report, the Food and Drug Administration. Dietary Supplement and Health Education Act. And the new millennium, some people are realizing that natural remedies are better and safer, so it's kind of about that. Recommended reading. Now chapter 2 is the Practical Herbalism 101, kind of how to regain some independence for herbal heritage, thinking outside the capsule. This is all just really good information to read. It's very well laid out. The whole book all the sections kind of go together. So this part has basic herbal preparations. So it covers identification, gathering, preservation, and storage. So growing your own, buying them fresh, like what to look for, harvesting them in the wild, what to look for and how you should properly harvest them in the wild, what time you should harvest them, like what time you should harvest certain parts of the plant. The flowers, the bark, leaves, things like that. Some exceptions, even the time of day you should harvest, and preserving your own. Okay, so here's some traditional methods for preserving them. You can dry them, so it kind of tells you how to do that, or some information on it. You can preserve them, you can use them prepare them as infusions and decoctions. Infusions and decoctions are similar. Okay, they're like a tea you make. But infusions, what you do is you put the plant into your cup and you pour boiling water over it, cover it, and let it sit or steep for about 15 minutes. But to do infusions, you usually take the softer, more gentler part of the plant, like the leaves or the flowers. Whereas a decoction, you take the more fibrous, the tougher part, like bark or the root of the plant, and you put it in water and you bring all that to a boil and let it sit and steep or simmer for about 15 minutes or so. And then also tincturing, it talks about that. And here it tells you how to make a basic tincture. It talks about oil extracts and making a basic oil extract by using a cold infusion or a hot oil extract. And then how to preserve the oil extracts and some natural preservatives you can use for that. Also how to make the salves and ointments. Now I have a video where I made plantain salve, and in that video I had used a hot oil extract. I created a hot oil extract with the plantain and then used that to make my plantain ointment or salve. How to make a basic ointment and some recipes. How to make a fomentation and a poultice. Some tools that you might need, some processing aids, stovetop accessories, and optional joys, like a dehydrator, vacuum packaging machine, yogurt maker, and commercial blender. Now, I don't have any of these optional joys, and I've not needed them at all. Okay, now chapter 3 here is understanding herbal actions. Okay, this part has a lot of information, so I'm going to try to simplify this. Okay, you'll see 3 columns here because every herb has an action or multiple actions on the body. Okay, the way it'll affect parts of the body. So every herb has an action or more. And so all of these are actions. Okay, like, I'll just go over some of them, like antacid, antibiotics, antiseptics, cardiacs, astringents, diuretics, things like that. And each of those actions can be classified into 3 general groups: detoxifying, regenerating, and system regulating. So detoxifying is, I'm sure getting the toxins out of your body. So there are some plants that have detoxifying effects on your body that you take them and it detoxes your system, gets rid of the sludge and buildup. Regenerating is kind of like after you detox, then you regenerate, to kind of help heal the tissues or the organ, whatever, things like that. System regulating kind of help to maintain it, build it back up, things like that. And here is some more additional information about those 3 headings. Okay. Alright, and here is some more information about those 3 individual things, like more information about detoxifying, regenerating, and then the system regulating. Now, so you see all of these individual actions. Well, each of these actions is broken up with more information on the following pages. And here are those individual actions. And the D would tell you that alteratives that action falls under the detoxifying category. And this will list the plants that have an alterative action, and it tells you what alteratives are, kind of like what they do. Alteratives are herbs which cleanse or alter the blood. It tells you more information. Conditions that are aided by alteratives. Okay, but I want to go over, let's find one that everyone should be familiar with, antiseptics here. Okay, so antiseptics is listed under the category of detoxifying, regenerating, and system regulating. It tells you that antiseptic herbs have the power to destroy or prevent the growth of bacteria and to retard the decay of tissue and the formation of pus. It tells you some more. And it lists the herbs that have antiseptic properties. And it tells you the conditions that are aided by antiseptics, like cuts, abrasions, wounds, indolent ulcers, abscesses, gangrenes, frostbite, and active infections. Okay, so this information is in the back with each individual herb too. So just remember this part. Okay, so it has several pages where it goes over each of those actions. And I'm skipping some pages now. Okay, now we are on chapter 4, where it shows you all the 46 plants that it talks about. And it starts here with birch bark, and every herb has a picture, and it's laid out like this. Now you're on black cohosh. You can see black walnut, and you can see that the format is the same. Okay, I'm going to go over elderberry with you. Okay, so here's elderberry, and they're put in alphabetical order. So here's elderberry. Here's a picture of it, the flowers and the leaves. It gives you the name. Then it gives you the scientific name, some common names that people call it, the physical features of it, like what to look for when you're out in the woods or along the river bank, and you're trying to identify the plant, what to look for. And it continues over here. Then it gives you a pretty neat section on historical information about it, like how they used elderberry in the past, in history. It says it was used for everything from toothache to the plague. All parts of it were used. It just has some really good information here. In every plant it talks about, it has the historical information. Also, these shortened, indented sections, these are words from centuries ago about that plant. So it's just... And then it has a section on growing range. Now remember, every plant in this book is laid out this way. Okay? So here's the growing range, like kind of where to find it, the parts that are used. Now some plants it'll say like the root only or the leaves only, whereas the elderberry, all parts of it are used. And then some cultivation or wild crafting tips. This kind of tells you like how to collect the plant, when to collect it, what to look for before you collect it, things like that. And then the primary constitutes. And then the primary constitutes of it. So like in the flowers, it tells you the kinds of acids that the flowers contain. And, the flavonoids, and in the leaves, it tells you kind of like what it contains. And then the actions, remember the actions from what I showed you a while ago? That's in here. Okay, so, it can be used as an expectorant to help, cough up stuff, a diuretic to help the flow of urine. Okay, and it tells you that the bark, what it does, the leaves, what kind of actions the leaves have, what actions the flowers have, what actions the berries have. Okay, then it tells you the tissues, organs, or the body systems that it affects. So, elderberry affects the respiratory system, glandular system, and the skin. And when we use it, we always use it for the respiratory system, for my children's allergies. And then the preparations and dosage, so it gives you some information there. Now, they all have like a orangish box here for how to use it, not what to use it for, but how to use it if you need it internally. So if you need it internally, you use it as an infusion, juice from the berries, a strong infusion, or a tincture made from the flowers. And it tells you kind of like the dosage here. Okay, so here's the preparation, here's the dosage. And in the beginning of the book, remember it talked about that? How to make the infusion, how to make the fomentation or the tincture. So that all that is in the beginning as well. And how to prepare it for external use, the ointment. Okay, now here is the conditions. So if you have, like, here's how to treat it So here are the conditions that it treats if used internally: allergies and hay fever, colds and flu, constipation, emphysema pleurisy, fever, rheumatism, sinusitis, sore throat, and spring tonic. And these are the conditions that it treats externally, such as bruises, frostbite, skin blemishes, discoloration, sprains, and tumors. This second column here, so we'll look at sinusitis. So if you have sinusitis, you can take elderberries and internally and use it as a strong infusion or a tincture. And it also has a section called combines well with. So elderberry combines well with echinacea. Now me, so far, I've never used this column. I don't combine anything, I just use them straight. But there may come a day when I need to. So far I haven't needed to. So sinusitis, it says to use it as a strong infusion. So you go back over here internally, look up strong infusion, and it tells you how to make it. You need a 1/4 cup of flowers to 1 pint of boiling water. Steep for 30 minutes, strain and drink freely. Okay. Now, after those sections, the information following it'll vary depending on the plant. So on this particular plant, they give you a couple recipes. One on how to make an ointment, another how to make a medicinal syrup. Here's how to make a wine, and then it has the energetics. And honestly, and then here it has the energetics, and that's the end of this part. Now, like I said, depending on what plant you're looking at will depend. And like I said, each plant at the end will have different information. So let's go ahead and look at fennel here, and it has the same layout of information, the historical information, growing range, all that. But here, after the dosage and preparation, here it has special considerations. So some plants, there are things you need to pay attention to and use caution with. Okay, so you want to be sure that you do read all the information it has to say. Don't just say, oh, I need colic, this is how I'm going to, I have colic and this is how I'm going to take care of it. Read all the information. So here are some special considerations and also some notes and the energetics again. And then it moves on to the next one. Here's garlic. So special considerations, notes, then gravel root. Okay. Now that you can see all this is laid out the same. Now, after all of those, okay, this is where it ends. After all of those, it has a glossary. This glossary is 66 pages long. That's a big glossary for a book to have. 66 pages of a glossary. But it gives you the word and the definition of it. So it's a very good information in itself. 66 pages of the glossary. Alright, let me get to the end. Almost there. Okay, the next section is the bibliography. And this is a big section in itself. So it's just telling you where it got the information. Okay, I'm just going to try to flip to the end. I'm just going to try to flip to the end of the bibliography. Okay. And this is all the bibliography. That's pretty big too. And then the last part of the book is the index. And the index is quite a few pages as well. Not as many, of course, but quite a few. So how I use the index is, if my children have some kind of issue, or we do, like, I don't know, bronchitis or coughing or something, I'll just turn back here and I'll just look up the word, like let's say coughing. So I'll turn to the C's and find the word cough right there, and it has all of these page numbers. So here's cough, and it gives you all the page numbers where cough is mentioned. So you just turn to any one of these pages and it'll tell you, like, let's look at page 257. 257. Right here, 257, red clover will treat cough. See, whooping cough. Red clover will treat that. Okay, so, and also the very last 2 pages are for notes. They have 2 pages here of notes. And then the very last page is a quote by Nicholas Culpeper from 1652. But I just thought I would show you that book and go over it with you. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.